Good evening. My name is Cameron, and I will be presenting on parenthood and children. Whether it be with a significant other, an accidental mistake, single-parent adoption, deciding when to have a child is a huge decision in somebody's life. Many believe that timing has to be perfect, mostly for security that this step in life is something that they can most certainly handle. Age is a big factor when deciding if being a parent is right for you, how financially stable you are, what your relationship status with your significant other is, if you're married, just started dating, how serious you are. Also, if you have a babysitter when that time comes, is there always going to be somebody around to take care of that baby and take a little bit of load off you or your wife? There have been some trends in parenting that have changed over the years. Now women are more fertile and healthy than ever before. There's less infant mortality rates, and it has become unnecessary for women to have so many children, multiple children, to ensure the survival of just a few. The average family size nowadays is 2 children, mostly due to the cost of living. It's economically right to have less children. The birth rate from ages 15 to 19 has declined to the lowest record in over 70 years. This is due to easy access to abortion. Families with higher education tend to have less children due to schooling, understanding finances better, just knowing where they are as a family and knowing what they can handle. Social pressures to have children. Some only child people that are only childs, they may have some pressure to have children and keep the last name going. Fathers are becoming more emotionally involved in child's lives, becoming more involved in sports, extracurricular activities. Having a child is not for everybody. Some lives are just too busy to accommodate caring for a child. Typically, people who choose to be childless typically have more education and are more likely to have a manager or professional career, along with higher incomes. People's reasons vary on why they choose not to have kids, most being a distraction from pursuing and moving up in their career that would limit them on commitments that they can make, while others believe that one child is perfect. I'm just going to talk about some of the pros and cons of having one child versus multiple child. For the pros, it's obviously going to be less cost effect. There's going to be less cost if you just have one child. You're going to give that child more opportunity. You're going to give that child more attention, more love, than spreading it out between multiple children and having a child fight for your love. Less to worry about. You won't have to worry about two little kids running off, putting things in their mouth, choking. Less to worry about. More career options. If you are financially stable and responsible, you will have set aside money for your child's college education, which would be a lot easier to do with just one child rather than many. Some cons about being an only child. Higher pressure to succeed. You don't have any distractions from your parents looking down on you, being part of every decision you make. They're always going to be there on your back, pretty involved. That could be a good thing, and it can be a bad thing. Lack of sibling companionship. You're not going to have a sibling there to be with you throughout your childhood. Nobody to just have more in common with parenting in the 21st century. There have been many advantages over this. Over the past many years, there has been positive factors influencing parenting. Parents have a higher level of education today than in the past, including formal knowledge about child development and child raising techniques. There's books and information guides on parenting. Parents are trying harder to relate to their children to help them become more involved in school and being more involved in extracurricular activities. Some disadvantages of parenting nowadays. Oftentimes, both parents have to work, which leads to less time spent with your child because the cost of raising a child is so high. These days, both parents are kind of required to work. Social media is a huge distraction, taking away from family time, whether that be at dinner or just lounging around the house. Your child is more children these days are just being locked on their phones, glued to their phones, not going outside, having that one-on-one connection with their dad, playing catch or going on walks. Definitely have to be more alert and aware of who your child is talking to online. There's a lot of child predators out there who make fake accounts pretending that they're young, luring in younger people. Another problem is, since there's so many young people having kids these days, whether that be by accident or planned that way, younger couples sometimes lack maturity to cope with family matters. Their lack of experience from others their age. They don't have friends who are having kids at that young age, and they don't get to experience that and see how big of an impact that has on daily life. They're not going to get that. And these days there's people from all ages, ranging from 15 to in their mid-30s, that are still having children. But from my research, there has been a big number on the ends of the spectrum. So there's a lot of young kids getting married, and there's a lot of women in their 30s getting married. And their experience and their knowledge between those two people is a big gap from being just straight out of high school, getting pregnant, having a kid at 18 compared to somebody who's established in their 30s. There's going to be a big difference. There's going to be a big change in how that child is going to be raised. Everybody has their own parenting techniques. And that's another thing that can be a disadvantage in this 21st century, is being judged on how somebody raises their child. Times have changed from how kids were raised and disciplined back 20, 30 years ago, when it was okay to spank and hit your child. And people who see that now may not agree with that, while others agree that that was the best way to get a point across, is to be physical so that your child remembers. My thoughts on when the perfect time to have a child is, I definitely won't want to be established in my career and have a steady income. I would like to be married so that I know I'm in love and I found somebody who wants to spend the rest of their life with me, because having a child is, in my research and readings, it's brought marriages and relationships closer and stronger by building love off that common object that was made between two people. I would like to have a house so I can have a nice place for my child to grow up in. I want to be close to family so my family can be around my child, help babysit, and help take a little ease and pressure and stress off me and my wife. And I would like to have 2 kids. I'm an only child, and growing up, I didn't have a brother or sister to connect with or share thoughts with and come to them when I was in a time of need. I would go to my parents, and that was different, but it brought us closer. So if there's one thing I can say about being an only child, it's definitely brought my relationship with my parents, definitely brought it a lot closer than I would say your normal child who has 2 or 3 brothers, sisters. Me and my parents are very close due to the fact that I am an only child. And that concludes my presentation on parenthood and children. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for your time.